All right, so we're here with Kasia from Creative Pet Keeping, doing a fish room tour. So let's hear a little bit about your fish room and what it is you do here and what you're trying to accomplish.
Oh boy. So this is my little apartment fish room. My first thing I'm trying not to accomplish is never flood my fish room. I think that's the most important thing. I've had nightmares about fish flooding, but the other thing is I'm trying to learn about as many species as I can and try to breed them for my local club, because that way I think that's really getting me into the hobby. Because for the longest time while I kept fish, it would be just a few like community tanks and that's all I did. And now like breeding has really expanded like my research and knowledge, and now I have to make sure that the parameters and the setup and everything is a lot better, because if fish are happy, they're not going to breed unless they're a guppy. Guppy will breed in everything, everywhere.
Okay, so the thing that I'm most curious about is that I've never met anyone that was into bettas the way you are, but yet have so many African cichlids. They just don't typically go hand in hand. So what do you attribute that to?
So bettas are some of the fish that kind of started the channel, because I had my little community tank and I wanted to prove people wrong, because people say you can't keep bettas with other fish, and I really thought that in an appropriate setting you probably could, because you know in the wild fish encounter other fish, just the circumstances have to be right. So I thought, you know, if you put the right fish with the right betta, it should in theory work out. So that was like, I would have proved the internet wrong, because when I started 9 years ago, people were like, community tanks and bettas were actually a no-no, even with peaceful fish. But I'm a cichlid girl, like through. I like bettas, but cichlids are my thing, and I also, my water is really good for cichlids, so they're easier. So I have to put a lot more work into bettas, and it's a little more stressful, while these guys just like exist in happiness right here. I don't have any disease issues, they live longer. So I don't know, cichlids are like my calling, but bettas are like in my heart because they started out the YouTube journey. So I did too.
Cool. All right, well let's go ahead and let's go tank by tank and let's see everything you have.
So this is the little 4-gallon that originally had the Blue Dream shrimp in it, but the mistake I made is with the Brightwell soil, I was using my tap water, and my tap water compared to what happens to this tank after it sits and reacts with the soil, the pH was way too different, and I was shocking the shrimp every time I would do a water change. So I'm gonna try again, but with RO and remineralize and try to control, like stabilize. So that was a mistake, but I've never used soils that alter your pH other than crushed coral for my cichlids, which doesn't make the difference that quickly. It's a lot more subtle. So yeah, it's sad empty tank with some snails. But over here is my little blackwater setup, where currently we have a pair of bristlenose albino plecos. And we have some red cherry shrimp from Jason, who's hanging out back here. The other Jason, we have one Jason filming right now. And this is usually the tank that if I get any epistos from the club to breed, because I already have the black water set up and I'm always throwing a ton of tannins and botanicals in here, that's like the tank where they go. And usually I'll just have this light going, which is actually the light from the kits that you get. I took the kits from the lid, ripped them out, and then I stuck them because they have that sticky, like, gooey thing on top, so they stick very easily. So I just put them up here as a simple light, because I know the plecos don't really appreciate really strong light anyways, especially albinos. But I did, for the sake of filming, put another light, so if you want to, like, film. I should have done that at the beginning.
So you guys can see, this is actually a closet. So explain to me your air system that you have here.
Ooh, let's move over to the other side.
If you guys are enjoying this video, be sure and hit that subscribe button so you can see all the other videos that I put out. I put out lots of DIY videos on how to make stuff cheaper for your aquarium, with lots of unboxings and lots of new fish, since I have a fish room that has over 80 plus aquariums.
So this, my dad built it for me. He bought me an air pump, which is supposed to be for a way bigger fish room, but this is for the future. So if I ever move, I'm ready.
Is it like an LPH 40? Oh, it's not an LPA, but it's a linear piston.
I don't even know, because
yeah,
I don't know much
super
about
quiet.
pumps. But we did everything to make this as quiet as possible. So it's running on here. The pipes are actually not connected. Like we put a little bit of duct tape, but we want it to be easy to take apart. So if I have to move, nothing is glued, just easily pop it open. I have as many of these as I need. There is the extra air, since it's not a circulatory system, does come out here and it goes into the rag, and that's how we keep it as quiet as possible. And then to control it, I also have, oh my gosh, it gets stuck sometimes. There we go. I have this valve right here, and it controls how much air gets to escape out of here and gets trapped.
Is this feeding air to all your tanks?
Yeah, most of them. I do like to run hang-on bags. So these two have hang-on bags just because it's been keeping my tanks cleaner. Even though I should be using sponge filters, probably would make more sense. And a lot of these are hang-on bags too. But all the fry filters here are sponge filters. And then hang-on bag, the Bettas are sponge. So I have like a combo of stuff. And it's nice because in the daytime, the light shines from the window. So at night, I just close this one. So it's closed, so that way, because I used to have an algae problem, so that way these guys that face the light, I don't have to worry about algae. But I don't want to close my blinds because I want this room to actually warm up to keep everyone warm. So that's kind of what's hanging out right here.
Okay, what do we got going on in this tank?
This is my favorite fish ever. So the Lamprologus ocellatus gold. I'm very lucky because I have 2 big boys and 2 girls. This guy's hoarding 2 girls for himself. But because I have the nice balance, I have the no man's land and they have the 2 separate territories. So they've been spawning for me. I have to be very quick to move the shells as soon as I know there's babies to try to get them out. So I have 2 babies here recently from a smaller spawn. And then the other baby that's on the other side kind of ate his siblings. So he's by himself. Just lonely, but for a reason.
Now, the goat ocellatus is typically the most aggressive of the shell dwellers.
Oh yeah, they're so mean, but they're so fun. And I like the pink bellies because in the morning you can see the reflection, how pink they are with the lights off. And the little girl in me is like, yes, I have my little angry pink fish. I love it. And that's their little, that's for the females if they need to hide. Like I made a little rock structure. I don't really know how to aquascape stuff. I try to make stuff that I think will help the fish in some way. Because that seems to make sense.
I'll take stuff and I'll just literally throw it into a tank and people are like, I love the way it's aquascaped. I'm like, I literally just threw that in there and I couldn't tell you what one of these plants are called.
That's how I feel. And then down here is another shelly tank because I love shellies. So these are the Lamprologus multifasciatus. We're growing guppy grass in here. And then I have a random rock back here. That's for if the males are kind of mean. They can go behind there. And there is a pleco somewhere hiding in there. Oh, no, he's in the shell. So he hides in there. He's a shelly now. He's the oldest fish I own. He's like 13 years old.
Wow.
And they're fun. They kind of hang out right here. They're kind of a little more boring because I like my ocellatus who are crazy and territorial. But these guys are the first shellies, and I got them from Jason. So this is just, oh, there's babies under the mama right there. You can actually see them under the shell.
Oh, sure enough.
So at least they're breeding for me pretty well.
So they're better parents?
Much better. Oh my gosh, my ocellatus will not raise fry. I've heard some people have success, but I think in bigger colonies with more space and there's just more going on. In my tank, they will murder anything. I tried doing ditherfish. That was not a good idea. My endlers were like jumping out to try to save themselves. Like nothing can be in that tank. Then over here on my crebensis, they're very little. We have a big boy right here, and then I hope 2 girls. They're my first ever fish that are an F1. I've never had anything F1, and I try not to get anything that's wild because I'm just bad at keeping wild fish. I feel like I don't have the skills for
Explain
that.
to people what an F1 means.
First generation from the wild. So the parents were brought over for the wild, bred in captivity, and these are captive bred first generation fish. So they do a lot better in the local water because I got them from one of the members of the GCCA, so this is easier. Usually wild caught fish want you to replicate exactly where they're from, but the F1s will be a little more forgiving. So that's what I do because I'm still learning and it's a little easier for me. Oh, there's a girl hiding right there. That's the smaller girl, and then there's another one that she just kind of goes in the back. And I put the coconut here sideways. He goes in there. I'm hoping when they spawn, I'll be able to film them. When that happens, it's the plan. And then here, one of my favorite fish that I probably, other than the ocelotus, that I can't seem to rotate, even though I spawned them. I got my BAP point in my club. They're the Julichromis regani, and I have a pair in there, and they're like hiding. Just rocks. So I have a male and female. The female is super cute, and they were like a great pair. They made so many babies for me. I took the babies out, and they're now divorced. They will not spawn. I don't know. I'm trying. I put
got custody of the kids.
No one. I took them, and then everyone thinks those are their babies, and I wonder because she could see them. They're not the same. They're Chromis, but they look similar enough. I don't know if she can tell the difference. So like maybe she's like, I don't want you to spawn. My kids are right there, so I need to block it off. So sometimes I slide paper in between these to visually block them off, because sometimes fish seeing each other helps with spawning, but sometimes it's the opposite. Like with bettas, domestic bettas are easily distracted, so they could be spawning and then they could see you stop spawning, start begging for food. So a lot of betta breeders will like block them off with paper on all sides and like, I'm not checking for the next like 3 hours, just do your thing, I'm not here. So it's like keep changing the rock structures, and because they're such reclusive spawners, she will not spawn if you can see her spawning. So she has, I made that tiny cave that's in a cave, and there's a little tiny pleco spawning cave within that, and then she will only spawn in that. So it's like the weirdest thing. So I built this like fortress for her, and now she's still mad at me, so I'm gonna probably redo it. I'm gonna keep her doing it every few weeks and seeing like until some formation works for her, because they're so secretive.
I gotta tell you, you have the most drama going on in any fish room I've been into.
Because I watched them, I don't know. And then I like make up stories. Oh, the Nanacara are coming out. Why are you so grumpy looking and spotty looking? I don't know if it's like a female fish keeper thing or what. We just like observe and like figure out the relationships of, because I know the relationships of my fish. Like I know which female likes. There's one that I've called her Bobette because she was Bob. I thought she was a male, and she's got like a dorsal fin, so you could tell her apart. And she likes that male that's there. And then this guy's the lonely male. No one wants to hang out with him. This guy hoards the two females. He's just sad by himself, and he tries so hard, and he's always. And that's my new male betta. He's gonna hopefully live in here and not murder all my guppies, I hope.
Does he have a name yet?
I want to call him Sprinkles.
Okay. I knew you had one.
And this is Sonny, and Daniel's printing out all the labels, and he made Sonny Boy for him. See, he's right next to his label.
Oh, that's where the labels are.
Yep. He lets you know. So his house gets pushed around, but usually his little floaty log is like this. And he will go through the other side, and he will just sit there and watch me as I'm in the fish room all day, just from his little log. He likes being in there.
Do you breed him with anyone?
Oh no, because genetically he's he's alive. We got him at Aquatic Experience, but he's already got a tumor growing under his chin, and there's a couple other things. Just like he's not a good breeding candidate. But I'm already having like hairgrass algae growing. My cichlids love to eat it though, so that works out.
Okay.
This is Mahachai grow out, mostly ladies with the female betta that's hanging out with them. They're very shy. They're growing slow because I'm trying not to power grow them too quickly so I don't have to jar too many.
How old would you say this small one is?
This girl, she's like 8 months. So usually overseas breeders can breed their fish to like this size in 3 months.
Oh wow.
But if you grow them slowly, I think they live longer. So I'm just not in a hurry. And then the Mahachai, I'm taking my time growing them out because I don't have to jar them as much. And I think they do a little better, you know, in a tank versus a jar. They're very hard to focus on them. These are just baby endlers I'm growing out. This is a random backup tank I have that if I need to grow out anybody, or when I need to grow out baby bettas or breed or something. So that's why it has fake plants in here. It's nothing fancy. The light, I once again recycled the tank kit lights, and this is just the lid for a container, and I just taped them because these guys don't, there's just some moss in here, not much, and then here these guys don't really like a lot of light, so this works. It's my little, I use these lights everywhere. I have more like under there too, like light up a shelf. These lights are cool. And then I like these guys so much.
The big tank.
Yes, my one big tank with my biggest fish. So these are the Placidochromis Jalo. When I went to Mike Heffert's fish room, I told him, I kept looking at these fish, like out of all his fish, I was like, they're so pretty, they're so pretty. And finally hit Fry, and he just gave me like a whole bunch, and he was like, here, grow them out for me, because I don't have space. I was like, yes, I will. So I had a bigger group, and now I'm like thinning them down. I didn't know they were kind of rare, so I didn't know he gave me like a fancy, expensive fish. But these guys they're so beautiful. The males are so pretty. We have 2 males that are like sneaker males. We got some girls. It's a very simple tank because once they do start holding, I want to be able to pull them to get the fry. So sometimes if they're hiding, I don't want to take so many decorations out. So because of that, it's kind of simple. I also, the bane of my existence, when I had, I just fed you. Hold on. When I had a air bubbler back here, all the water would splash out, and you see all the water stains, and I can't reach there, and I can't get it, and it drives me insane. It's because I want like pristine, clean tank, and I can't. I tried. Daniel, if you see, there's like a one clean area at the top. That's Daniel like trying to reach, and he was trying to clean it. He's like, I can't reach that far.
You need to paint the back of your tanks.
No, because then it creates depth. See, like my really pothos, and I have a fake plant actually in there too, in the back, and I try to create the depth and make the tanks bigger. Although that's kind of odd because it's like random.
It does. It definitely creates more depth.
And it makes the tanks.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, and then it makes it look like a bigger tank. So that's like my cool thing. And then I have the Lamprologus tigropictilis, which I didn't know until recently that they're on the red list as vulnerable species. They're sitting in their caves. We have one big boy that's like usually hanging out somewhere, but I just give them so many leaves because they're so mean. And they should be in a bigger tank, and they would fight more, I think, if I didn't give them the cover. So downside, we can't see them, but they have babies, so clearly I'm doing something okay, I think. And then here is my divided betta tank with Sheila's dividers. We have Angry Boy, Blue Raspberry, female that doesn't have name, and then I had a cool name for him and I forgot what it was. Daniel gave him a name. This guy is like the bane of my existence because he fin nips all the time, and then he will flare at his reflection, so I can't win. Like, he flares at everything and then goes after himself. But Sheila makes the best dividers ever. Usually I'll divide it 5 ways. I prefer to, but if I don't have that many bettas, I'll give them more space if I can. And I'll try not to divide it more than 5, so they do have some space. So they're just hanging out right here. Look at them. He just eats himself because he tries to have a battle with
himself.
With the reflection. Yeah.
More drama in your fish room.
Oh my gosh. That's yeah. We're spilling all the tea. That is the biggest drama right here. This guy. But these since the girls there. Oh, let me dispel the biggest betta myth. So everyone claims that you can't keep a female betta in the same tank with males because the hormones from the males will make the female egg bound.
Yeah.
The opposite. Now if I want to condition a female to breed, if I keep her in a breeding container, it's actually really hard to get her to be eggy because they'll be eggy for the first like week or 2. They realize they can't get to the males, so they just stop, like the production reduces. The opposite happens because they realize we're not like breeding. And a lot of people, their bettas will get constipated from pellets and then they think a female is egg bound, but she's actually bloated in the front because their ovaries are in they're right here, like in this area behind the stomach, and there are no graphs that like demonstrate it. The first way I was able to see this is actually with the cellophane. So that young girl, she's not eggy, but with the other cellophanes, because they don't have color, you could actually see the eggs inside them in the ovaries. So that's how I was able to learn where things are. And then I got a little graph like point out body parts. I'm trying to learn their anatomy a little bit better. So there's that myth debunked.
Thanks again, guys, for hanging out with me. Love each and every one of you. If you have a question or if you have a comment, be sure and leave that down below. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to share this video. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, that would be absolutely awesomely amazing if you would click that subscription button down below. Don't forget to also click on the notification bell because it's the only way that you're going to get notified that I put another video out. So thanks again, guys, and God bless.